First of all, very good morning to all of you. We have half an hour and 4 of us are here, so precisely 7.5 minutes to each of you. In fact, I always say that you call speakers and you don't allow them to speak. Because water is a subject where you can't speak for 7.5 minutes. And I am supposed to speak on 3 occasions. So maybe on this occasion I will speak less, maybe my colleagues will speak more. But even in those sessions, all you get is about 15 minutes. In fact, I would have requested the organizers to give me 15 plus 7.5, maybe 37.5 minutes. That would have been maybe doing some justice to the water sector actually. So let me add this, say charity begins at home. So let me say a few things at the beginning. Before I give the opportunity to other colleagues on the dais. As I told you, water is a very vast sector. So I would be speaking on something called water use efficiency in this afternoon session for the industry. And tomorrow I would be speaking again on primarily my experience from National Mission for Clean Ganga. But so I would be speaking on that. So I don't know in 7.5 minutes what should I speak. So I thought of on way. I don't come with a PowerPoint presentation. I don't have a written speech or something. So on the way I was thinking what should I kind of highlight in less than 7.5 minutes, which I have. So I'll tell you an experience. Very recently, I think about 20 days back, Center for Responsible Business. They have organized a similar kind of international, we call it a conference, seminar, I don't know the difference between them, but they have organized one. So I was asked to basically again chair a session where there were 2 speakers, 2 presentations, and there were 4 panelists. So I was very happy for 2 things. 2 things were highlighted there. In fact, the lady, she was representing a corporate sector, and she talked of, right in the beginning, she talked of something which has been my pet subject. She talked about the carbon footprint, water footprints. I was very happy because whenever I come to these kind of places, I ask people, what is the water footprints of a cup of coffee in the morning which you had? And when I say them it's 140 liters, people get surprised. So I ask them, what is the kind of a water footprints of the cotton shirt which I am wearing? Or water footprints of a leather cup, a pair of leather shoes I am wearing? Or maybe what is the kind of water footprints of growing a kg of basmati rice, and how much virtual export of water takes place when we export those a kg of rice. So she spoke about that, so I was very happy. She started her speech with that kind of a question about the water footprints. The other thing what I liked was that people were talking of a demand side management of water. All along, right from the beginning, when India became independent and Jawaharlal Nehru laid the foundation stone of Bhakra Nangal, and then he called it a temple of modern India. Right from that time, people have been talking primarily on a supply side management of water. But in that conference, I found demand side management of water being talked. I was happy. So when I started my little time I had, when I started also with a question. I asked the people present there, they tell me how much rainfall India gets in a year, on an average. I know there is a wide spatial variation in the spatial distribution of water, temporal distribution of water, but how much on an average a rainfall India gets. And there was a pin drop silence on all the people who were sitting here. And then the lady who talked about the carbon footprint, she came forward and says, can I make a guess? I said, sure. She says 500 millimeter. Why I am giving this example, that if you do not, the basic how much, because everybody talks of water scarcity, water stress, all those kind of things. But I always say, how can a country which gets more than 1,000 millimeter of rainfall can be a water stress country? It has to be a water surplus country. So then when I came, so what I was trying to tell you, that my experience of about 6 years, 4.5 years in Government of India and 1.5 years in the state, 6 years in water sector, has shown me that we know very little about the water and we know very little about the rivers. When I was collected in a district, out of the drought-prone district in Odisha called Balangir, I never knew what in aquifer. I never bothered whether water table is going down or going up. I never bothered that what kind of crops are we growing. So even as after 7-8 years of service in IAS, I hardly knew anything about aquifers and the water table going down and all these. So this example I gave, so first thing I would always say that we need to work on a water literacy. Unfortunately, we are water illiterate. Most of us are water illiterate. I remember she told me in introduction that I was first Director General National Mission for Clean Ganga. When I joined there, people were talking of how many ghats are being constructed, or at best people were talking of constructing sewage treatment plant. That's not river rejuvenation. The life, a river is that which flows. If something which doesn't flow is not a river. So for 8 months in Yamuna, Yamuna in Delhi is not a river because it doesn't flow. So what I find is that people are, the basic water, what is the requirement for a river rejuvenation? What is the connect of, let's say, a river flow with groundwater exploitation? Everybody will talk only of sewage treatment plant, and there also they will only talk about construction, not about its functioning. India is a country where we love construction. We don't bother about performance. So the first point I wanted to make here was that let's, in the sense that, of course, the ministry representative is also present there. I had spent a lot of time. I did my bit. Everybody is doing his or her bit actually. But we need to understand water. We need to understand river if we really try to find a solutions to it. The second point which I wanted to make is the one relating to policy advocacy. And what is that? Everybody talks about the bane of problem of groundwater or water in India is the way we grow our crops. We grow our crops where those crops are not to be grown. आप दिल्ली में जब बात करते हैं तो बात होती है कि मैं रोटी खा के आ रहा हूँ. When you go for a lunch, you go to Orissa, you go to West Bengal, and you say कि मैं भात खा के आ रहा हूँ. Because that was the area where paddy was being grown, and this was not an area. Punjab, Haryana till 1980s, early 80s was not growing any paddy. Why do we grow paddy? I won't go details of it, but I'll say 2 factors. One is not only the declaration of minimum support price, but in India, minimum support price works only for 3 crops. The wheat, paddy, and to some extent you can say minimum remunerative price for sugarcane. And these 3 crops together consume 75% of India's water. Anyway, 90% goes to agriculture. Out of that, 75% is consumed by these 3 sectors. So we need to, I'm not saying, and apart from that, procurement and minimum support price is either a free electricity or highly subsidized electricity in the states like Haryana and Punjab. And with what consequences everybody knows. And the third point, and last point which I will like to make, I always talk of 5 hours. People talk of 3 hours right from the beginning, reading, writing, arithmetic. Then people talk of 3 hours of water where they talk of reduce, reuse, recycle. I talk of 5 hours of water. Apart from reduce or reuse or recycle, I say recharge. That's the 4th hour. आप धरती माँ को पानी पिलाओगे तो धरती माँ आपको पानी पिलाएगी. As simple as that. And the 5th hour, which is most important hour, is respect. We somewhere down the line have lost respect for water. Let's respect water. Thank you very much for, I hope I haven't exceeded my time. Thank you very much. And